good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are listening to us from. Welcome to Footprints, a podcast that tells the stories and gleans the wisdom of our elders. Today we are excited to be at the home of Alex Mukulu, a renowned playwright in Uganda. Alex, you're welcome to Footprints. And we'd like you to tell us a bit about yourself. Take us way back. Where were you born? What did you do as a little boy? Where did you go to school? Please tell us a bit about yourself.
I was born in Uganda. I studied in Ugandan schools up to university. I have been working in Uganda. I married and divorced in Uganda. I got children and they grew up. So here I am now.
Here you are now.
Yeah.
Okay, but now Uganda is so big. You need to narrow it down a bit more.
We call it Mityana.
Fortetrizi.
Yeah. But most people want to call it Namutamba. A little bit closer to Namutamba. Yes, a village called Isebe. That's where I was born. Studied in Namilyango.
And then Makerere. Wow. What do you remember most about growing up? What is a favorite childhood memory?
My mother. A lot of things about her, but I think the most significant was when she was shot and she kind of was paralyzed one side and she was taken to hospital. She survived, but that's the one of the most significant things I remember about her.
Oh dear. What happened? How was she shot?
Well, these were family issues, domestic squabbles, but some of our relatives decided she shouldn't be living, so they shot her, but she survived.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I am glad she survived.
She did. But she died later.
She died later, yes. Where were you on independence?
Which independence?
Of Uganda, of the 1962 one.
Yeah, I was already in Namilyango. 62, that was grade 2. Yeah. I was in grade 2.
Did you know about it or did you understand?
The independence?
Yes.
No. We didn't even know what was happening. But after that, the king, the father of Muteri, the king now, visited Namilyango. And I think that was my first political or something related to politics. When he came, we were all kneeling down. But we never knew anything about the independence. We were too young, I think.
You were too young. So what did you do did you like football? Did you like, what was Alex like as a young boy?
Football, yes. I was a goalkeeper in the team. But most of all, I was more in the, performing Uganda. Those schools used to have what we call speech days, where parents would come and perform and then they take you for holidays. So I was always featured, or I featured greatly in those kind of, days, singing or acting. Yeah.
And where does that come from? How did you know that you were good at that?
I don't know where it comes from, but I think it comes from the Rwandese I grew up with, who were, picking tea, singing, and on the paid day they would dance and, jam, and, very happy moments they had whenever they were paid. So therefore, I don't know, it could have influenced me, but I don't remember. I think we had an auntie who used to play violin, and I think my grandfather on the mother's side was also, a band leader in the palace of the king. So those are the people I know about who were, in the performing arts. So, but I don't know where I got it from. Who knows? Who knew life perhaps built me, and I had to have my own escape windows to survive. So I could have escaped into art. You know how we all escape into something.
Into something, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. Do you remember those songs that they used to sing? Can you sing us one of them?
Which song?
The one you said they used to sing songs, and on payday they would even dance. You don't remember the song?
But the songs, but I don't want to sing them in the room.
Or you can teach me, I will sing.
Mwiri we sanzare mparata, mwiri we sanzare mparata. Those were the songs they used to sing, and many others, you know. So it was always a funny day when they were paid, because they were drinking, eating, meat, work. So they used to dance through the night.
So there you are as a boy doing speeches and getting into the performing arts. So what is your journey after Makerere University? What did you study at Makerere?
This, again, music, dance, and drama. But from there, I went there because I was doing music, dance, and drama. In fact, I was invited in Makerere because I started acting when I was in grade 4. So by the time I was in high school, over secondary school, I already had, plays written by me, awards won. But so it was Professor Ozimbo, I think, who invited me to go and study in Makerere. Yes, so I went. And after that, I just continued with my, usual thing, because by the time I was in Makerere, I already had a group called the African Social International Troupe of the Absurd. So
African Social International Troupe of the Absurd.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I just continued acting up to today. Yeah. Writing and acting. Almost every year, one play. Yeah, one play for more than 40 years. So
what is your process? How do you take us through? So like 30 years, how did it start, and how did you finally, all the way to it being a production in National Theatre?
Writing a play is about writing about what you know or what you have experienced. Everything I write, in one or the other, I have been through it. Like 30 years of Panelaza, the years from 1962 to 1992. So I lived those years. I saw the presidents change and go, governments change and go. And it is all about the people that were influential in those years. So it is the Rwandese, the main character there. I already know that I grew up with the Rwandese. So I know them. Courageous, there was a courageous in there. Yeah. So when you write, I think you use your experience to comment on whatever you want. So that experience is the historical aspect which must be inclusive in every work of art or film. There should be that area of history and another area of culture or graciousness or innovation and the present and the future. All those together make what? The place. So this experience always is the historical part of the context, whichever context I want to be dealing with, whether it is a political, social, economic. And that is always the, foundation upon which I base my comments on whatever may be trending on that at that point of time in history.
Wow. So, and in order to do this, I guess you have to be a reader, a writer, an observer.
Yeah, you have to be very observant, yes, and you have to be almost feelingless
Really? What do you mean by that?
It's like things happen and you have to be above them. You know,
Detached of that.
yes, yeah, you are detached from them so that you can, bring them out in a way that is persuasive but not anger. You shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't be like an opposition or a quarrel or a fight. You bring it out graciously, and that's what I mean by things happen, but you don't want to seem like they are really hurting you. You have to be above them, just like being above sea level, not below sea level.
Yes.
Or in the water.
Yes.
So once you don't feed it, when you detach yourself from those feelings, you look at it like, well, c'est la vie. That's life. Yeah.
As you were coming into your own as a playwright, composer, and director, who were your mentors or who were your role models?
That question is always asked, People like Wole Soyinka, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, those Chinua Achebe, those writers that wrote those African writers series during our, those books once upon a time just came on. I don't know what is happening with them today, but they were the African writers series.
Yes.
We had those books, River Between, Things Fall Apart, No Longer Tease, I think those books came when I was becoming a man. And when I read them, these people became my models, my heroes.
What of the whole process, which one do you enjoy the most and which one is the most tedious for you in writing plays and all the way to, actually is the most work? What do you enjoy the most in the process and what do you least like?
I don't enjoy anything.
Oh, really?
Because it takes a lot of energy, sometimes a lot of loneliness, and sometimes you get friends away from friends in order to be able to bring out something which is really yours. So, in the beginning, you don't enjoy it, but when you get used to it, perhaps you do. But then you miss a lot of the people. Would be friends, would be girlfriends, would be wives, all these kind of things. You find yourself alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it is that. Loneliness. Always alone at home.
Writing and thinking and developing the plots. Which one of your works are you most proud about and which one do you struggle with the most?
Springs of Tears. Springs of Tears was one of my plays that was not very popular here, but it was about our hypocrisy, our hidden agendas, battling between communities. It was happening here so much in Uganda, especially in bad times. Even today, you never know who is okay and who is not okay. People camouflage into hyenas put on sheepskins.
Yes.
So when you lose friends because of that, and they die because of that, you become very, sometimes very tight, angry. And the reason I called it Springs of Tears is because that which causes us to cry. As I was writing it, it caused me to cry. So it was very tedious, write about them. Friends of mine could that. As I told you, I write about what I know.
Yes.
So I think that was the one. In South Africa, 30 years of governance was not very tedious. It was like writing, through the history we had gone through. 80% is history. But in Springs of Tears, it's like emotions and pain, sadness, joy, sorrow, surprise, things like that. Yeah. You get surprised, by your own friends, by your own government. Your own government surprises you, you see. Like today, we are surprised when you think about something, the government comes in and you think now this is it. But then after some time, it surprises you the road of what are things, Sometimes that hurts.
Again, you've had a long arc of being a playwright. What do you think is the difference between when you started writing and the times now? What is the difference that you see?
Experience, because experience, you use your experience to reach out to people. When I started writing, like when I wrote my first play when I was in grade 4. 4 was 10 years.
10 years.
I didn't even know what, but the good thing was I was writing the story of my grandfather. Has a lot of story around him, stories around him. However, experience is what you use to reach out to people of different, classes, generations, etc., etc. When you are 20, you don't have an experience of a parent. So when you write, you really can't write about parenthood.
Yes.
Right? You may imagine or concoct or write about your own parents. But when you become a parent and you go through parenthood, that experience helps you to reach out to parents.
Yes.
And when you grow older, also get grandchildren, get what, that experience gathered together enables you to reach out to different generations of people, groups of people. You can reach out to the 20-year, to the 30-year, to the 40-year when you are 60.
Yes.
But normally it's not very easy to reach out to a 60-year-old when you are 20. So the difference when I started is that I didn't have enough experience to kind of get everybody in. But today I can get everybody.
Yes.
Because I've lived it and I can talk to everyone. So my experience now is larger, so I can speak to a lot more people than I used to speak to when I was here.
You're very passionate about theater. What makes that so?
Things that make you angry. If you don't have anything that makes you angry, you can't write a play, you can't compose a song. People that are not angry, they never become artists. People who have nothing to make them angry, So what makes you angry? Somebody may see, rubbish on the road, by the roadside, and they get angry. Why is this happening, right? Then you start thinking about it and you say, how do I solve this now? Why do they do this? Who does it? That anger kind of makes you react with a song or with a play or with a work. But I always say that people who don't have anything that makes them angry are very lucky because they enjoy life. They just sit there, everything is, okay. It's not about being passionate, it's about seeing things and they make you angry.
Interesting.
Yeah. When you see a child being beaten by someone, that makes you angry. So you want to fight for that child. Perhaps you compose a song to fight that, or to write a film or a play about that, the abuse of a child. You can create a story then from your experience and put it together and come out in something as, a conflict resolution.
What makes you angry right now?
Me, right now, the way girls use this phone, where is my phone? Yes, the TikTok, eh? Sometimes I say, what do these people want? You are alone and you just take your own picture, like doing whatever you want. Then you say this to people. That really bothers me and it makes me very angry. I tell people, what do you want? You see, that just annoys me. That just annoys me. Just what? It's like very, I don't know. It's very, to me, it looks like very stupid. Why do you do that? At least say something. You tell us something. But just to go there, then it looks like Dole. I don't like that. That makes me angry.
That makes you angry.
Very angry.
Very angry.
Yep.
Yes, what else makes you angry in this season?
Elderly people, who, say or claim that when they go to socialize, they release stress, right? But when they go there, they start, the vulgar, babera vulgar, nebawemura, and they say, that you are. It's like, but these are very educated people, but doctors, siba lawyers, siba chichi, but when they go in a club to socialize, never tandika to say things very stupid. Already, I really hate somebody to go in a club to socialize, to release stress or whatever. Attends and bandos, and when you do that, you don't even release stress. You add on something on your stress, which is worse. So, but they all claim, it's okay. Tuli wano, nibatandika okwogera ebigambo ebitategeereke. Kabatenga bantu bakulu. Abaana abato kale naye abasajja abakulu nakyo kinyiiza ekyo. But era sigenda nnyo mu ngundi ezo. Clubs ezo oba kind of obuntuntu baala ezo ebyo gym ezo simanyi tugende mu gym ne mutuuka eyo ne mukola ebintu ebitategeerekeka. Simanyi n'irala massage ebyo saagala. Abasajja abakulu ne bagenda okubakola massage baveeyo na tebalitegeera bulungi. Simanyi what happens to them. I don't like that. Because those are the people now. Kati when you go back home, what do you say?
You're going to do a play very soon. And part of your reason for it, one of the reasons is to attract people back to theater. What do you think took people away from theater?
Not really. My very reason isn't this Romeo and Juliet, they shed blood. Which blood brought their families together, which were in conflict, historical conflict. So, I say, shall we have some blood that will unite us in our socio-political conflicts? Shall we ever have a Romeo and Juliet once upon a time? Whose blood over whose deaths will put us together? Because we have shed so much blood. We have shed so much blood through the matters of Uganda, through the expulsion of Asians, through Entebbe raid, through the Ruel whatever, through the Idi Amin times. There's so much blood that has been shed. But that blood has all failed to bring us together. The recent war in Ruel, you would have thought that those people, those cars in hell, exhibited on the roads, etc., etc. You would think that kind of blood shed would have brought us together. in a harmonious coexistence. But we so far have failed, or that brother has failed to do that. Now we say that we believe, we dream, we wish, aspire for a once upon a time Romeo and Juliet's blood which will be shed, and Ugandans will be, all Africa will be
United.
So whose blood will that be? That is basically the thing. Then of course, I want to use it also for quality purposes, to be able to revive, to rediscover, to reinvent, okwezula again, a theater okwezula again, to reinvent ourselves in the changing times of technology, of all this kind of stuff, in the globalization, because we are too local. As a theater industry is too local. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is we sing for people in the villages to trimba buyimbo ukwata ku bantu kulima lumonde uko idinkiri litakasa. Ebani alima lumonde. Apo oyimba ku mukazi oli ku mwenge muganda. Omwenge bwa Kabaka buno uwomye banaga ate bundu. We are too local. Yet these things, these gadgets today have made us international. No, we are now global. Yeah.
Yes.
Therefore, we need to lift theater to be global.
Interesting.
Because that's where we are in terms of technology. Kakati kuyogera nange wano, you could even send these things to America right now.
Of course.
You see? So, kati theater, ibadde terina ekyo. And we discover ourselves into that. We need to uplift ourselves in terms of standards, in terms of the technology that has to be used, in terms of everything. So that is the renewal of a renaissance of theater, which is the reason behind what you call on the theater yagwa. Right?
Yes.
Theater yagwa because it has refused to become global. It has remained localized.
But if I say that, yes, but our audiences are still local.
Yeah.
Therefore,
that's what you think, but they are not. They are not local. You know, what we never got at omuntu wa bulijjo. There is no muntu wa bulijjo anymore. There is no muntu wa wansi anymore. This omukazi kakati, because this phone is used by people in the villages, right? They know. They get the news from anywhere. So, there's a difference between local people and ignorant people. Kakati, abantu abamu bo, you don't even think about them. You don't have to think about the world has to live them. Okay? Saiso, Tanzania, was the biggest export earner of money.
for forex,
Foreign whatever.
foreign currency, yes.
But when the synthetic fiber came, the Saiso industry kind of collapsed.
Yes.
But there were people who were skilled, so skilled in Saiso, educated in Saiso, etc., etc., etc. You had nothing to do for them when the synthetic fiber came. So the world had to leave them behind.
Yes.
No matter what you say, there are people the world must leave behind forever. So you cannot save everybody from locality into globalization. Some people will have to remain there. Ngenvunza zibaluma. They will die. And the world will continue to go on. Now the Americans are going to the moon. People want to live on Mars. Some of us will die here because you will never be able to go where?
To Mars.
Yeah, that is the world. So, bwekijja kiba kize. We need to pull people from where they are to where they must be. This is not something you learn. Nobody is teaching us how to use this. This is a must. You must have it. You pay electricity, you use it. You pay water, you use it. It's a must. It's not like optional.
It's not optional.
Yes, not optional. So there are things like that now happening which are not optional. So I'm sorry for those people. It could even be me also. So
the Zamariata has to rise up to a different standard.
Yeah, if whether we like it or not. Because you never get the money. You will never get the costs of production. Everybody now is, when we started acting, the actors were not educated.
Yes.
So they would come and act for free, etc., etc. But today somebody comes in with a master's. They want to charge you according to the qualification or academic qualification, not their talent.
Yes.
You see, I have a master's degree. I want so much money. Can you sing? No, I want to learn to sing. Yeah. Now what do you do? See? It is happening whether we like it or not. We have to globalize. We have to go into it. Theater we must address international issues. You can no longer address a Chibataka because they are still in land in the Uchigap in Uganda. No. That who would understand that in Norway or by in Vienna? The people are still people there, it will not resonate with the people there. They will say, what? Taka, because it is all very different. So the reason even why we are using Romeo and Juliet is because Romeo and Juliet is a classic play,
yes,
which is known all over the world.
Yes.
So if I had to write a play and proceed in the Kakati, it is called Omotaka Kasonja. It won't resonate with the people in France, in Japan. But with Romeo and Juliet, everybody will say, we know about it. It is already all over the world. So theater must be like that. We must address from platforms that are international. We must address international issues. Today there is war in Ukraine, Putin. There is war in Gaza, Israel, right? There is war in Congo. There is where else in somewhere where they are rebelling today. In Latin America somewhere, there is a country there. Now, when you come up with a theatrical presentation today, and you're not aware or you're not informed about all that, you may miss out. Because we'll be talking about things people don't know about. And you are missing out talking about things people know about.
Yeah.
So, there's that invasion.
But there's the counter argument, Alex, that part of global media is the West bringing their experience to the rest.
Yeah.
And so, why can't we do those local things and bring that experience to the rest? So that there's, like a counter narrative and not just one global experience that is taken all over. So what do you say about that?
If you can, but always a stronger culture eats up with a weaker culture, right? Gandhi said, I will allow every wind to come into my house through the windows, but I will never allow any wind to take me out of my house through the door, right? So that means he will resist everything that comes in. He will never be taken out of his what?
House.
But there are points when you cannot resist it. When it comes like a tsunami. And it has to take you what? Out, whether you like it or not. When talking about a film, the Indian asked an American that why do Americans always win in their films? The Americans said, well, if the Indians make their films, they will always be winning in their films. So let's put it there if we really can. Can our local values, right, be competitively acceptable to other people? Right? And do we have that, forceful attack to spread it? Can we spread it? If we can't, they will do it. And you don't blame them. Because it's a matter of survival for the fittest.
Yes.
This is capitalism. Socialism. From socialism, we came to, what did we come to? Communism. From communism, we came from communism to socialism. Now, capitalism is the thing. But capitalism is also going. I don't know what is going to be coming. Perhaps corruption is going to come to be the leading, like we shall be studying PhDs in corruption and master's degrees in corruption. And if you are not corrupt, you can't be existed anymore. When capitalism falls, because capitalism is about profit, survival for the fittest, it's about greed. So, if it goes, what are we going to have? And yet, it must go. But for the time being, if an American makes a film, he will push it for profits with so much greed and gluttony together, which we may not have. You may not be as greedy as that. The Africans are not greedy. They eat too much, but they are not greedy. But the Europeans, the white people, are very greedy. It's like, you can see our women here fall in love with white people. Because they say that white people know how to look after a woman. They have love, because they, kiss a woman. But it is greed. They are greedy. Even with a woman, they are greedy, kind of grab you and, which an African doesn't. That greed that made them travel all over the world. That gluttony that made them take slaves here to theirs, to dig for them, to work for them. They are really greedy. One European girl from, I think, Netherlands, told me that if the Africans started eating the food the Netherlands eat, the amount of food the Netherlands eat, we would need 6 planets to feed the world. Yeah. You see? So she knows. These people, it is that the wealthy people, most times the rich people, are very greedy. They want everything in print. They want to own everything, And the poor people sometimes, they're not greedy. They don't care. Adia came, eats one banana. So, we need to push, we cannot push our localities or whatever in terms of behaviors and so on, unless we have that kind of greed, which we don't have naturally.
Yes.
Naturally, we don't have.
So I understand you to say that we need to raise the bar.
Yeah.
In terms of our theater,
Yeah.
And we need to be aware what's happening globally
And address it.
and to be relevant. Yes. Over the course of your life, I'm making an assumption, so let me share it, that I think people look up to you as a leader in the arts. Do you see yourself as a leader, and or in what ways do you think you have led the arts industry in Uganda?
I don't see myself as a leader. I see myself as a victim. Yeah, I'm a victim of my talent. When I sleep, something tells me, why are you sleeping? Compose a song. So it's not about leading somewhere. If I were to be a leader, I would be in politics. But I don't think I'm a leader.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I am a victim, as I say.
Because I think from you, Alex, maybe if you don't know, I think we learn work ethic, because you've been at this for a long time.
Yeah.
We learn not just work, but there's something about being an artist that requires patience and persistence. And I think you have led in that way, being patient and persistent in good times and bad. Because like you said, the arts, we don't see it, we don't know it, we don't know how much it takes to do the work that you do. All we do is come, pay, laugh, and go home. Yeah. Or abuse you and go home. Right? But I think you've led in that way to show that it takes hard work, it takes being committed, it takes losing friends, the things that you were telling us, it takes being able to deal with loneliness. And for me, in that sense, that makes you a leader in the arts, someone that we look up to, someone whose example we can follow, whose experience we can learn from.
Yeah, what people think about me is not me. What I think about me is not what they think. So there's that, and actually sometimes artists fall prey to that when they take on what people think about them, instead of being themselves to think about who they are. When you think about people, what people think about you, you are kind of saying that you know everything against you, but you don't know that which you are for yourself. You see? So to know everything against you and you don't know what you are for is what destroys the artist. Right? So you don't want to become that. All the artists, when they call them legends, stars, celebrities, and you believe that, sometimes you suffer very much. And when people stop thinking about you like that, that's when you really want to go back there. And that's when you opt for some drugs or something to kind of lose the reality which now you must face, but you cannot afford to face it anymore. So you have to face it with some aid of sorts. And that's where the drugs come in. That's where the downfall
Comes, yeah.
So you should be careful.
Yes. So as an older artist now, what would your advice be to those that are entering the field, or those even who want to exit and say, I've done what I could, I want to go?
The advice I give them is they should know what they want to die for.
Know what you want to die for.
If you know what you want to die for, you live happily. If you don't know what you want to die for, problems, everything will be a problem. If I know I want to die for my children, right? Anything that bothers my children, I would rather die. life is simple. Because I know now I can detect that this danger is going to hurt my, then I fight that off. I fight it off. And I always remain with this concern of the children I have. So, if you know what you are to die for, you are content. You don't, come from one thing to another, You get consistent. But otherwise, a lot of people don't know what they want to die for. Or they don't have anything to die for any, yes. Because if now guns start, going off, I don't know where we go. Some of us, we may not be seen again. Yet we are all here. But if you were prepared to say that whatever comes in Uganda, I'm a Ugandan, I will die a Ugandan, you might find such one staying here, seated and say, okay, if you kill, I'm dying in my country. That's what I've been living for. So that's the advice I give young people. They should now develop what they want to die for very fast, very quickly. Once you know that, whether it is religion, education, money, bofumbo, marriage, whatever, the faster, the sooner you discover that, you find that, the smooth, then you will to lead a smooth life, because you know your destiny and why you live. We should know why we live.
So what would Alex die for?
I would die for Katugambe. Somebody comes here right now, but only one. And you want to cut your head off in my presence. I would die before he cuts it off. You. What do I be here? I would die for if there's something really gross that is going to happen to another human being, I would die to stop it.
Because you don't want harm to come to others.
No. Especially with the kids. I have this thing about kids. I don't want to see a kid suffering at all. I would do anything to save the kid. If I don't know how to swim and the kid goes into the water, I would fall into the water to take it out. Yeah. In other words, I would die for another human being.
Yes.
But I wouldn't die for, these other things of, like they say, peace or what. These are very vague, they're very vague things. What is peace? What is poverty? What is development? What is third world? All these kind of things. Sometimes too vague. You don't know what they really mean. But when you have a human being there and somebody wants to part them, Namaganda?
No.
You don't know the story? Namaganda was a girl in Buto's secondary school. His bedroom was only 5. And she went in to save her friends. She saved, I think, about 5. Then she went back and she died. 5 in quarter into the. That spirit, she was ready to die for her friends. And she really died. Yes. She's my hero. right now.
Right.
She was a young girl. Namaganda.
Okay. Alex, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you too.
Those who have been listening to us, you've gained your own wisdom. What I take away from our conversation, what are you angry about? What are you willing to die for? And remain true to who you are in all things and remain relevant. So I was going to ask two things. One, can you play us a song? Oh, sing together, please. One song, Alex.
Bayimbira
Nyimba nyingi. Just one ngale mpalo.
mukwata biki. Kale bino sisobola bikola bino. That says bye.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you to all those that have been listening to Footprints. Until we bring you another guest next time, thank you so much for listening to us. Bye.